Thoughts on this possibility? Oh boy. Per NBC's Melissa Stark, Aaron Rodgers' goal is to return mid-December. QB underwent surgery to repair a torn Achilles in mid-September. I spoke to an orthopedic surgeon about how feasible the timeline is. And then this is the biggest one, and if it's even worth it. I'm going to be honest, with the Jets' loss last night, I don't think it's even worth it anymore. I think if there was a possibility that Aaron Rodgers was coming back with the Jets losing to the Raiders last night, I think they just went, slow down. Will, embrace your inner Pack fan and run the table. I'm going to keep it a buck. The Jets are in a really fucked up situation because I think even with Aaron Rodgers, they're a few linemen short of being a realistic contender. Also, there are a few wide receivers short of being in contention. Everything is good on the Jets except the O-line and the wide receiver core. The O-line and the wide receiver core for the Jets has been awful. And Zach Wilson, I'm going to be honest. If you watched that game last night and you took away that Zach Wilson is the reason they lost that game, I don't think you watched that game very critically. In the last 3 weeks, between the Jets' offensive line and wide receivers, they have 20 penalties. That is crazy. That is worst in the league. You cannot win when your offense has 20 offensive penalties in 3 weeks. Let me see how many penalty yards the Jets have this season. I'm trying to find a stat line. Oh, here we go. Team statistics. Oh my God. The Jets have had 9 penalties per game in the last 3 games. That's crazy, bro. You cannot win like that. Do you think Hackett becomes the fall guy for the season? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Jets are doing everything they can to keep Aaron Rodgers happy. Which is why we don't have a good receiving core. I'm sorry. Lazard and Cobb are not the guys. I cannot believe we paid Lazard and Cobb to be this bad. They're both really, really good guys. They're both really, really good guys. They're good with Rodgers. I mean, yeah. Our team has also had so many dropped passes. So many dropped passes. I'm not going to lie. If I were the New York Jets, I would tell you what I would do. With the 13th pick, I would not take a lineman. I'm going to tell you what I would do in this offseason. I would use every cent I have. Every cent I have on offensive linemen. If you are going to go get one season out of Aaron Rodgers, which is probably a realistic expectation. What we have seen is that linemen don't come out of the box as good as skill positions right now. Right now, running backs and wide receivers are entering the NFL year one, and they are fucking godslayers.
Oh, yeah, wow.
They come out, and they are unreal. So I think people are going to fucking hate me for this take. I think with your top pick, you go Rome Odunze out of Washington. That kid is special. The wide receiver out of Washington. Take Rome Odunze, Washington. Use every cent you have on O-line. So then you have a 1 and 2 wide receiver. And then in the second round, you pray to God that either Shedeur Sanders enters the draft or Michael Penix is still on the board. in the second round and you trade up to take one. Do you have Rome as at wide receiver 3? I have him at wide receiver 2 or 3. There isn't a ton of O-line free agent that fixes your problem. Would you pay T. Higgins? No. I'm not paying a slot receiver right now. Slot receivers are too good in the draft right now. If you want a slot receiver, football right now is dictating that you should go, unless he is a freak. T isn't a slot? Yes, he is. Or is it Bird who's their slot? Oh, he isn't their slot. Who's their slot?
Now Penix is on. Also,
that's my bad. I did make a mistake.
So what do I know? Sag.
Tyler Boyd is their slot. My bad. Higgins, it depends on what the price point is. Romo Duzier, though, is like, this kid is freaky, dude. People think he's really small. He's not. He's 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", and he's burly. This dude, if he is still on the board for the Jets, he just fits them so well in his play style too.
That's very cool.
I don't know if you guys have been watching this guy. He has been big freak. Big freak. His hands are crazy. Oh my God. That's what we need. That's all we need. Just give me another guy with fucking freaky hands to throw to who can go up and get the ball. Yeah. He's so good. He's so good. This is a really good wide receiver class. Yeah. This is actually going to be,
her hands are crazy.
Thank you. This is going to be a really wild draft year because the quarterbacks are going to push everybody down. The quarterbacks are going to push a lot of really good talent towards the bottom of the first round and into the second round. Hasn't it been 10 minutes? Yeah, but I've been working really hard, so I'm going to talk about football as much as I fucking want. Caleb and Drake, already a foregone conclusion that both of them go in the first round, right? I think Bo Nix will sneak his way into the first round. And I think Michael Penix might sneak his way into the first round. Michael Penix, even though he is so good, he's the guy that I think teams might talk themselves out of because of his age and his injuries. I think people might talk themselves out of Michael Penix because of the age and the injuries. But I also think Jaden Daniels sneaks into the first round.
Hey Will, can you make me feel better about the Bills? Been a fan for 25 plus years and
no,
my wits end.
I can't make you feel better about the Bills. This isn't their year. I'm sorry. What I'm watching with the Bills struggle to beat the Broncos right now, it's just not their year. And I'm gonna be honest, their window is closed now too.
Oh yeah, wow, that's very cool.
I think the Bills are in real trouble.
CJ Stroud. I also loved Neff. Do it again, please.
I think the Bills need to have a fantastic draft. Best QB in the game right now. Does Patrick Mahomes still play football? Yes. Then it's Patrick Mahomes. CJ Stroud, y'all need to shut up with that. I love CJ Stroud. But y'all are watching too many sports shows. My man is on a 5-4 team. Let's chill. Let's be real. They haven't had a very hard schedule either. They beat the Saints. They beat the Colts. Or no, they lost to the Colts. They beat the Steelers. They beat the Falcons. They beat the Saints again. They beat the Bucks. And their big wins are against the Bengals and the Jags. I'm not ready to say that CJ Stroud is better than Patrick Mahomes. I'm not ready to do that. Is CJ Stroud a guaranteed lock of the century for Rookie of the Year? Yes. Hell, I think he might even be an MVP candidate. This is LeBron James syndrome. When you're this consistently good, everybody wants to look at the next upstart guy and be like, this is the next thing. He very well could be. Richardson was the only competition. I disagree. There's a guy named Puka Nacua who was very much in the running for Rookie of the Year. But now it's a lock. Nah, he fell off. Guys, listen. I said he was in the running. And what do you mean fell off? My man has 827 yards in his rookie season in week 10 on a bad team. What are we talking about? Stop. Come on, stop. Addison is better. Let me full-heartedly say it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. He should be better. He's a first-round fucking draft pick. They got Puka Nacua for a bag of chips. What are we talking about? A Mormon kid playing on a team that wasn't supposed to win a game this season out of BYU that they picked in the 5th round? Probably going to put up 1,300 yards in his rookie season? He's going to have more yards in his rookie season than Tyreek Hill did. What are we talking about? Stop. Quit it. Zach Wilson, top 10. Top 10 what? How do you feel about Sam Howell? He's been really good. Well, do you collect sports cards? No. Bust of all time? Fuck no. Fuck no. Bust of all time? I don't think he's a bust of all time. Top 10? Nah, come on. You're going to put him up there? You're going to put him up there with fucking Johnny Manziel? Stop. Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, Brian Bosworth. Well, there are some draft, Johnny Manziel, there are some draft players that like went to jail their first year. You know what I mean? As a second overall pick, yeah, Zach Wilson is a top bust. Nah, I disagree. I think that's recency bias.
Cool.
If they didn't have all those penalties, they would have won most of those games, and people wouldn't be talking shit on Zach right now. It's crazy how people
He is though.
with no extra context.
Guys. Here's what I will say. Maybe you can make that statement. If the Jets offense wasn't the worst offense I've ever seen the last 3 years, the Jets offense is so fucking historically bad. Historically bad. This is like if you put a running back in the first round on a team without an offensive line and you're like, oh, dude, this kid's a bust. Even though he's still winning games, even though he's still doing things that are impressive. Listen, I do not think Zach Wilson is a great player. I don't. But how many quarterbacks are like meh that are taken in the first round? Is Mac Jones a historic bust? Is Trey Lance a historic bust? Trey Lance, they fucking traded up and they gave up endless draft capital. How is he not more of a historic bust than Zach Wilson? Is he a bust? Yes. Is he historically the worst bust ever? Come on, stop. They said top 10, not top 1. Top 10 is historic. Top 10 is historically bad. Here's an example of a top 10. Here's an example of a top 10 first round bust. The Buffalo Bills selected Tom Cusseau, number 1 overall. He went to the team and then immediately went to the Canadian Football League. He left the NFL to go play in the Canadian Football League, leaving the Bills without a first overall pick. That is a top 10 first round draft pick bust. A quarterback playing below your expectations in one of the worst offenses we have ever seen, but trying his ass off, is not one of the top 10 worst overall draft picks. You guys have a recency bias on that. What about Courtney Brown? That's not even that old. You guys remember Courtney Brown? That's in the year 2000. Courtney Brown was drafted number 1 overall.
That's very cool.
He missed 33 games in a row. Who? He's a number 1 overall draft pick. What are we talking about? Top 10 worst draft picks of all time. You don't even know the draft picks. You don't even know a number 1 overall pick? Stop. Why are we even having the conversation? You can't be like who when he's a number 1 overall pick. He's a number 1 overall pick. Come on, man. Bryce Young's playing worse than Zach Wilson right now. Word is bond. Bryce Young sucks right now. No one wants to say it. Bryce Young sucks. Now that offense is trash, and I'm not ready to say Bryce is a bust. You got to give Bryce some time. And then I have another question for you. Is Geno Smith a bust? Everybody was telling me last year, oh, the Jets should have stuck with Geno Smith for a decade. Last year, everybody was like, yo, Geno Smith is the savior. This is how up and down the NFL is, man. Y'all were ready to anoint him a savior last year. Now everybody's like, oh, God, Geno's a mess. The Seahawks got to pick a QB. People were legitimately telling me that the Jets should have hung on to Geno Smith for a decade till he was good. Geno is a stopgap QB. Everyone knows that. Do the Seahawks know that? Because they just gave him $75 million with $50 million guaranteed. Aaron Rodgers 100% healthy next season, rushing back. Dude, I'm going to tell you, if the Jets have a 0 on the playoff chances, he's not playing. If the Jets' playoff chances go to 0, I don't care if Aaron Rodgers is in the best shape of his life. He's not playing. I hate the bust conversation because everybody is looking for year 1 production out of first rounds. Yes, I agree. We say bust way too easily. About players. Way too easily. But dude, I'm going to be honest. If you watched that Jets game last night and your reaction was Zach is the problem right now, the biggest problem, I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. We just didn't watch the same game. And you know what's crazy? 3 weeks ago, everybody was on the Zach sucks train. Fuck Zach. You know, Zach sucks. Now everybody's come over to my side. All these football commentators are like, dude, this team is undisciplined. This team is a mess. There's so many penalties. I mean, look at this. No look, running for his life, across his body, absolute fucking dart. Now, this is what's important. Can you place this ball any better? Nope. Watch this. He drops the ball. He drops the fucking ball. Now he saved it, but that is what's happening. The Jets have 8 drops a game, man. Our wide receiver core is not aside from Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver core is not doing it.